always gets me. Okay. Well, hi, I am KB with Nerdophiles. How are you?
I'm good. Good to meet you.
Lovely to meet you as well. Listen, so I heard that you are a huge fan of the show even before you got the directing gig. So can you talk a little bit about what you did when you found out that you'd be directing season three, and kind of what personal directing touches did you know going in you wanted to make sure you left on, these two episodes?
Yeah, I was a huge fan. To be honest, it was sort of the first experience I had being a fan of a show and then going on to work on it. And I'd worked with Greg Daniels previously on Space Force and loved that, obviously. But then at the same time, I always had my eye on Upload as well because I was such a fan. So I was so pleased to get the call. And there was an initial bit of, meeting the cast and seeing the sets and just having to fanboy a bit, just sort of get rid of it. I always find that's best when you're meeting famous people or you're in an environment you're excited about, just get it out of the system. So, I let the cast know that I've been watching them for 2 seasons and loved what they were doing. And then what was great about Upload is, all the new worlds and environments that come up in every episode. There was lots of stuff to put my own stamp on. So even though I was a massive fan of, the style of the show and how it was done, there was worlds and environments that I got to build from scratch and sort of put my own spin on it. So it was a great sort of mix of sticking to the formula that I really liked and enjoyed, but then also, put my own spin on things.
Well, I love that you say that because it is true. Like almost every episode, there is some sort of new element, kind of like whether it be a new world, a new app design, or something that pops up. So, for you as a director, can you talk about the most creatively challenging scenes to direct in episode three and in episode four this season?
Well, yeah, there was a couple, but it was a bit like fate, where was stuff that wanted to get my teeth into anyway. And I think the best example of that is Nathan and Nora, right? Go to a sort of dystopian version of shared living. And by just chance, I guess. And I'd always been sort of fascinated with the way people live in other parts of the world. And I watched God knows how many documentaries on these things called coffin homes that are sort of big in Asia, where people are literally living in sort of pods the size of coffins, and piling all their belongings in there. And so I had all these sort of frame of references for what was existing now in today's world. And then we sort of thought, how do we put a sort of Upload futuristic spin on that? It meant that we were filming in this set with no windows and the crew was all on top of each other. But it was lots of fun, and we, built lots of little camera traps, and we could take the roof off, so we could do lots of sexy sort of bird's eye view of all these living pods. So that was good. And then there was another environment where, when I read it, I couldn't help but just think, oh, like June, because June was last year. I couldn't help but think, oh, we just do June, right? And that's sort of what we did. But what's great is, thanks to the great script writing and stuff, we've got this monolithic, dystopian call center that we've heavily borrowed from June for, and it's big shafts of light, and it's minimal, and it's great. But then you've got some nice snappy Greg Daniels dialogue happening in it, just to undercut the sci-fi. So yeah, it was great fun, and it didn't disappoint. Being a fan of the show, I was always looking forward to building up some worlds, and I very much got to do that.
Well, let me just say now I'm going to have to look up these coffin homes that
Oh,
you
such a
are
thing.
talking about, because now I'm going to have to go down a rabbit hole, I think.
Oh, it will. Yeah, it'll be a few hours of your time. It really is. It's fascinating. Sort of sad at the same time. But the big thing with that is, in our version of it in Uploads, we stressed that it was, it wasn't necessarily down and outs who were living in these sort of pods in these coffin homes. It was people in shirts and ties. There was spreadsheets on the walls. It was professionals, sort of giving off the message that in the future, that could be me, that could be you, that could be all of us in that type of environment.
Well, it's true, right? Because Nora has to. Nora has, she's like, I'll pick up some shifts, at Horizon here. And like while she's at her desk, there's someone next to her essentially prepping their food, Big Bib, prepping her food. And so you're like, wow, the shared
Yeah,
space in this is quite interesting for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. That could be us. Yeah.
It could be. And so my final question I have to ask, because we are on this journey of double Nathans this season. So as a fan and also as a director, because these answers may be different, which Nathan do you prefer? Do you prefer true Nathan or the backup, as they like to affectionately call him?
Yeah. Oh, it's true Nathan all the way, just because he does have that much more insecurity, and he has a little bit of a belly. That was a big creative choice. We put him in a little bit of a fat suit. It's certainly not Thor in Avengers. It's not a big
Mhm.
transformation, but what it is just a very real podge, we would call it in the UK. Just a little bit on the waistline there that just gives him that extra bit of insecurity that makes him all the more relatable. And it's just such a nice journey from what I always think of with Robbie and Nathan is that first time I think Nora sees him, it's himself checking the mirror and
What's his
sort of
hair?
looking over himself in the reflection there. So it feels like a nice little journey we've went on with him now, where he's sort of struggling to get to terms with the real world again and his sort of real body again. Yeah. So yeah, real Nathan all the way.
And you're right, this season, his family does not let him live down the fact that he does not have abs. I mean, they bring it up so often every time they see him. They're like, "Wow, you
But
just
I think
lost your
that's
abs in this new
yeah,
body."
but that's really true to life, though, isn't it? I always think when
It is.
someone's in shape, you sort of can't wait for them to fall off the wagon again, so you can bring them back down to earth and let them know about it. So yeah, I'd be just the same. I think if I was pals with Nathan and I'd been putting up with him being so perfect for all these years, I'd be squeezing his little podge too, I think.
Well, I hope that he just appreciates the body that he's in, of course, because he's been through so much and, he has essentially risen from the dead. So
Exactly.
hopefully, there's an appreciation for this body because he is alive again and
Exactly.
finally with his true love. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to chat with Nerdophiles. I absolutely love these two episodes. I mean, Upload is one of my favorite shows. So it was really lovely talking to you.
You too. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.